Hi, James Lee Jobe here for Davis, California, where I'm the Poet Laureate, reading for you today the poems of Wole Soyinka of Nigeria, and I'll be reading from his collection Idanre and Other Poems. Wole Soyinka, a poet, a playwright, the very first African writer to win the Nobel Prize for Literature back in the 1980s, and also in his life he spent 2 years, almost 2 years, in solitary confinement during the Nigerian war with the Biafra region as they tried to separate. The government accused him of pro-Biafra writings and locked him up in solitary for almost 2 years. He's a marvelous poet, he's a marvelous playwright, and I am going to begin with a poem called Dawn. Breaking earth upon a spring-haired elbow, lone, a palm beyond head grain, spikes, a guard of prim fronds, piercing high hairs of the wind. As one who bore the pollen highest, blood drops in the air, above the even belt of tassels, above coarse leaf, teasing on the waist, steals the lone intruder, tearing wide the chaste tide of the sky. O celebration of the rites of dawn, night spread in tatters and a god received, aflame with kernels. Oh, there's so much music in this. This is a little bit longer. This is Death in the Dawn, and it comes with an inscription. Driving to Lagos one morning, a white cockerel flew out of the dusk and smashed itself against my windscreen. A mile further, I came across a motor accident and a freshly dead man in the smash. Death in the Dawn by Wole Soyinka. Traveler, you must set out at dawn and wipe your feet upon the dog-nosed wetness of earth. Let sunrise quench your lamps and watch faint brush pricklings in the skylight, cottoned feet to break the early earthworm on the hoe. Now shadows stretch with sap, not twilight's death and sad prostration. This soft kindling, soft receding breeds, racing joys and apprehensions for a naked day. Burdened hulks retract, stoop to the mist in faceless throng to wake the silent markets, swift, mute processions on gray byways. On this counterpane it was, sudden winter at the death of dawn's lone trumpeter. Cascades of white feather flakes, but it proved a futile rite. Propitiation sped grimly on before. The right foot for joy, the left dread, and the mother prayed, Child, may you never walk when the road waits, famished. Traveler, you must set forth at dawn. I promise marvels of the holy hour, presages as the white cocks flapped perverse impalement, as who would dare the wraithful rings of man's progression, with a capital P, progression. But such another wraith, brother, silenced in the startled hug of your invention, is the mocked grimace, this enclosed contortion, it. Have you ever done that, come across a fatal accident? I've come across a couple of accidents that were pretty bad, but never a fatal one. Around us dawning, jet flight. This beast was fashioned well. It prowls the rare selective heights and spurns companionship with bird wings are tipped in sulfurs, scouring gray recesses of the void to a linear flare of dawns. Red halos through the ports wreath us passive martyrs, bound to a will of rotors, yielding eyes to the alien moat, the hidden ache, when death makes a swift descent The mountains range in spire on spire, lances at the bold carbuncle on the still night air. I am light-honed to a still point in the incandescent onrush. A fine ash in the beast's sudden desiccation when the sun explodes. The sun will explode one day, literally. It'll be a supernova. What good's all your work going to mean then, huh? That was not the one. Here we go. The Dreamer. The Dreamer. Higher than trees, a cryptic crown, lord of the rebel, 3 thorns lay on a sleep of down and myrrh, a mesh of nails, of flesh, and words that flowered free. A cleft between the birches, next year is reaping time. The fruit will fall to searchers, cleansed of mold, chronicles of gold mourn a fruit in prime. The burden bowed to the boughs, to earth. That second boughs is B-O-U-G-H, like tree boughs. The burden bowed to the boughs, to earth, a girdle for the sea, and bittered pods gave voices, birth, a ring of stones, and throws and thrones, and incense on the sea. These poems are largely free verse. They're not rhymed and metered, but there is loose rhymes throughout a number of the poems. It puts a music in the language, and it really grabs me, you know. Cleansed of mold, chronicles of gold, mourn a fruit in prime. The burden bowed the boughs to earth, a girdle for the sea, S-E-E, not S-E-A. A girdle for the sea, perhaps like the Holy See. And bitter pods gave voices, birth, a ring of stones and throws and thrones, a ring of stones and throws and thrones. This man knows how to dance with language. You can read these poems and know that this is a man who has earned his Nobel. The Last Lamp. A pale incision in the skin of night. It dwindled downhill, weaker bled from pole to passage, dye and shroud. Her shadow, now indrawn from dances on the silent caves, gather close about her, a lying depth. Oil is a kindly lamp to generations, patient stoop in crooked doorways, to a market's final breath of patience, peace denied. She was of vespers, valediction, lit within deserted ribs. I'll finish with Easter. Easter. The slow day dies, a wordless wilt, shades of silence reaping, soft frangipanes. Pollen's wings are thorned, bosoms too welcoming fold, later chills take death to innocence. Kinder these hard mangoes, green drops at the ear of God apparent, coquettes to the future decadence. Do we not truly fear to bleed? We hunt pale tissues of the palm, fingers groping, ever cautious on the crown. These pink frangipanes of Easter crop eager to the wind, by repetition weak and rains in breeding. One bough to slake the millions? Decay caulks earth's center. Spurned we pluck bleached petals from the dreamer's lair. Born passive on this gift, wound splashes from wind scavenger, sap fragrance for a heady brew. I rode my winged ass and raged as children wove frond yellow from the palm, plucked at the core. within the spadix heart. Poems by Wole Soyinka. Wole Soyinka. Seek him out. Nobel Prize winner. Thank you, everyone. Take care.